All right. Ooh, man. Anybody's throat ever just like decided to not work? My throat just decided it did not want to work today. Okay. We're good now, I think. I think I'm alive. I might have just died. Welcome in, everybody. Q, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for the love early on. As an Oz57 using Picard, Data, Tucker on tier 6 Saints, I'm bringing home 75 to 85,000 rare temporal loot tokens. Congrats, TJ. Congrats. Yeah, I mean, there's some pain points. We're going to talk about the loop. We're going to talk about the refiner. We're going to talk about all the different things. It's one of those things where, like, if you are, I hate to use this term because I'm not trying to shame anybody's gameplay. If you are where you should be, it's very easy to do. But the problem is, Scopely designs a game so that you're not where you should be. Like, Scopely is constantly pushing you to move up, move around. You're never able to actually just sit there and be good. So 95% of the players are struggling. But we'll go over all that. We'll discuss it. We'll go over the refineries. For those who didn't see my yesterday video, check that out. It goes over the basics and a lot of the heavy stuff with this new loop. But yeah, this is actually just literally as I was going live, one of the Scopely employees was talking to me, and they were acknowledging the frustration they see from the player levels. And I'm just sitting, and I just said bluntly, like, the worst part about this is that it's predictable. Like, we tell you this is going to happen, why this is, going to be a problem, and it still happens. So I'm not gonna get too deep into that because the person I'm talking to is not their fault. I mean, they work on the community team. I mean, it's not like they're designing this or they're not management calling for this. It is what it is. Now, I will say, look, 90% of the players who have reached out to me personally, we have got them killing silent hunters. So it can be done. Is it complicated? Is it a lot of thought? Absolutely. But I do think, as I said yesterday, more people can do this than not. But the big problem is, by design, Scopely is asking you to do one thing, which is level up. But at the same time, they want you to be super, super, super strong at whatever level you're at. That way you can handle anything they release. So they're trying to make players, or they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, right? So Brigadier Jones, good to see you, says, I have Gorkon at 85% hold breach chance in terms of proccing. Almost ready to tear up. Who do I replace BLT with to get the most out of Hugh below deck? So you would, Gorkon is going to replace BLT, or Lorca if you have a Lorca who's better than your Gorkon. But it sounds like you're going to go Gorkon already. But Lorca replaces Gorkon at tier 2, tier 3, tier 2, tier 3. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. So we're trying to promote spending. Well, of course, Mark. Yeah, I mean, I never try to hide that. Like, I call Scopely all those things all the time. So sure, of course, trying to incentivize spending. But at the same time, the point I'm making is that they're doing it in a counterintuitive logic. Like, it's not like they're doing it with, say, let's just say that TJ, who just said they're level 57, it's not like they're releasing content for, like, saying, hey, TJ, your incentive to go to 58 is you're actually going to unlock this really cool thing, but you're just right too short. That's not what they're doing. They're basically releasing content for everybody and saying, hey, you can either level up and get a better ship or spend a butt ton on a ship today that you won't need tomorrow when we make you level up tomorrow, right? So they're trying, like I said, they're basically trying to double the spending. But anyway, we'll cover all that, and we'll try to get as many people doing this as we can. But I'll tell you the same thing that I said on my stream yesterday and on Lube's stream for our UK streamers or our UK players. Lube is one of our UK content creators, so we do try to give love there. I said the same thing to all of them. This new loop, you can ignore it. Why can you ignore this new loop? Let me talk about why you can ignore this new loop. Because no matter what, you can participate in this new loop, even if you don't kill the hostiles. Now, obviously, we all want to kill the hostiles, right? Everybody wants to kill the hostiles. Everybody wants to be efficient. Everybody wants to do as much as possible. But this loop, you still get what you need every day, regardless of whether you participate. You just don't get as much. I'll show you in a second after I collect my my faction credits. But if you click on the X Borg, you're going to get temporal disruptors every day no matter what. So one thing that I really want to press, and Dinky, not that many players are quitting, man. That's the thing. People have been saying the game's quitting for 5 years. They're not. Like, are there people quitting? Yeah. It's called attrition. But have we had a mass exodus? We've still to this day not had a mass exodus. We have more players in the game today than we did in September. So that doesn't diminish any of y'all's frustrations. It's just Scopely, the reason they do what they do is because the numbers continue to justify it. Until the numbers stop justifying it, they're never going to change. But I do want to get across people. You do not have to do this event. Stop worrying about getting all the events done. Stop worrying about all the loops. You do not have to do this loop because you can contribute to this loop every day just by redeeming your temporal disruptors. Because that's what you need to unlock the new artifacts. Now, can you get more temporal disruptors if you complete your runs? Obviously. Clearly you can. Clearly you can. But you don't have to do this loop. Don't let Scopely pigeonhole you into feeling like if you don't do it, you're missing out. What are you missing out on? Right? There are going to be other events that pay out event store currency. You're going to be able to do other things this month. You're going to be able to participate in the event store. Don't let Scopely make you feel pigeonholed into this event. I will still try to work with you, though. Every player that wants it, I will try to work with you with your best ship to get you completing these hostiles. I'll gladly do that with every single person that wants it. But I'm telling you, do not just make yourself so angry because this loop is tough. Ignore it. Because the good thing about this loop is you can get currency for what you need every day, regardless of whether you go out and do it. It has a passive element to it, just like the Monavine does. So yeah, what the grind will let you do, which I can turn in again in 6 minutes, the grind will get you more of the specific parts so that you can get more of those temporal disruptors and you get ship parts, which is great. I mean, I like ship parts. You don't have to do that. So instead of getting like frustrated, which understandably why people are getting frustrated, take a step back, take a breath, do all your other stuff. And I will, again, offer is open to everybody. Okay, Sethan, your Ops 28 account can't do anything, but I will still talk to you about your Ops 28 account and how you should work on your Stella, your Meridian, your Vidar, etc. But you know what I mean. I will work with everybody that wants me to work with them, and we will try to get this working, right? Because we have logs, and we have been doing a lot of testing, hence the video yesterday, of, say, players. Here, where is this window capture button so I can put this on the screen? For example, here's John Connor doing a litany of tests with different crews for an Enterprise. This is a level 39 player that was getting about 13, 14 kills per run for various crews. Now, some of those crews not getting as many, right? But this is a level 39 player. He's been level 39 for over a year now, so he's been 39 a while. So he's one of those players that ignores Scopely and says, screw what Scopely wants, I'm going to enjoy my game. So because of that, he's got a max Enterprise. He's not a spender. He just ignores Scopely every time Scopely says level up. So he has a lot of the officers unlocked. He's got a lot of the stuff done. And you can see a litany of crew options here for your Enterprise. And kind of like how 2 months ago, we talked about the Augur having like a natural advantage because of burning with one of the hostiles. Now the Enterprise has a natural advantage. So we can definitely work with you and happy to do it. But the biggest thing that I'm going to stress to you this month, this is not a bad loop, and it's definitely not a loop worth quitting over, because it's easy to get frustrated at face value because Scopely's throwing events at you right now. But the truth is, this loop can be done passively. Yes, it'll take you longer, but take your time. At the end of the day, what is the point of opsing up, which is what Scopely wants? All you're going to do is approach more paywalls. Take your time, take a step back, and just enjoy the game and enjoy the community. That's my advice, and now let's get into actually answering everything. All right, Mike says, second loop in a row, we're turning off hostiles for early mid-50s. It's completely borked. Expect you have 200 million ship the second you have 53. I mean, yes and no, right? Like, look, I understand from a game logic why they do that. Because not everything should be easy, I guess. Like, I understand from a game perspective. Do I understand why that's frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating because we have events, and these events are paying out store currency, so we want to be able to do it all right now. Completely understandable why there's a frustration there. There are players who are like, say, level 51 who are doing their level 51s with a pylon or a Coronar, but it's not easy. And they do seem to expect you to not skip ships. It's actually part of the feedback. See, ASX is not a bad loop. This is the worst design loop in a long time. I 1000% disagree. This is an easy loop. It's not a complicated loop, nor does it take a long time. That said, you could be at a point where it's a very difficult loop. But again, it depends on where your account is at, right? Like I said, 90% of players that I've worked with so far yesterday, and I spent several hours just going through individual players, working with them, getting them going, were able to start killing silent hostiles. Doesn't mean everybody can, but this is definitely not a bad loop. Is it annoying in the first 24 hours? Yeah, because this loop takes us figuring things out. It is way better than the first Zindy loop, in my opinion. Now, this is just my opinion. The first Zindy loop was awful, and to me is still awful. Because I'm a player with I have a tier 9 pylon. I have Jonathan Archer, and it's still something that takes me 2 runs to get my full pull. That is a bad loop. That is a bad loop. Zindy part 1 is a bad loop. Silent Hunters is not that bad. It is different because you have to understand the strategies of how they work. But yeah, there's definitely gonna be people who are at pain points. For example, if you're level 55 and you have only like 140 mil Talios as your best ship, yeah, you're going to struggle, which means that we're going to have to pull out your Cerritos, we're going to have to pull out your Titan, we're probably going to pull out Exocomps, and we're definitely going to have to make sure that you've got Hugh, Bolana Torres, and other things. It's going to be really tough. So I'm not trying to diminish anybody who is having a struggle, but I definitely can't agree this is the worst loop. I've been around 5.5 years, and I've seen Scopely put some really stupid things in the game. I can't agree that this is that level of stupid. But I will say that in the first day, because it's a different style of hostile, right? It gives you burning. And yes, that matters because I say 1% hull reduction every round. It has super big crit stats. Yes, that does matter because you need to kill it quickly because that crit continues to build on itself. So if you go 10 rounds, you're going home. But at the same time, it's doable. Whereas we've had just some really stupid things come out in the past. I mean, is this really a worse loop than Starbase Assaults is? And yes, Assaults is a loop. Yes, because it has research. It has things. No. Is it worse than the first Zindy? In my opinion, no. What's up, Heldar? How you doing? So, crit chance does stop at round 5, Paulo. Or, I'm sorry, crit chance does not stop. However, the 100% stops. But don't confuse that with crit chance stopping, because it can still crit and will still crit past round 5. It just will not guarantee it won't be 100%. And okay, Austin, yeah, please attend to life. And you can always watch us on the playback. Always watch us on the playback. Now, Rex says, I like the fact they are hard. I like that the game is challenging me. I don't like that kill the ones that require my level and what I can actually doesn't help me. So now, Rex, we have to figure out how can we get you to kill what you need to do. Right? Wolfwood, good to see. Wolfwood is actually one of the players that worked with me, worked with their alliance, and were able to start killing them when they initially could not. So where are you at? We have to figure out. Now, I'll just be honest. I can't just sit here and promise, the 300 people who probably have a question right now that we can do it all during the live stream. But what I can tell you is that if you hit me up on Discord or Facebook, I will respond to your message. And I will, because I've been doing that all morning. I've been doing that all yesterday. And we will try our best to make that happen. Look at Rev's shill for Scopely. Can't even spell the game, the name shill right. This this arc is terrible. Okay, Jason, here's the truth. No, it's not. And here's more truth. Will the numbers say that it is? No. Just like people screamed last month, and last month was the best graded month in like 8 months, right? The loud, upset voices are always the loudest. And what I've definitely learned over the past 3 months is people who've been playing the game a while have reached a level of frustration where basically no matter what happens, they're pissed, right? We got 8 primes with free-to-play sourcing now, thanks to this loop. Right? This loop will take you 5 minutes if you are where you should be, not where Scopely tells you to be in your account. It's like you can be mad, and that's completely legit. But to say that this is the worst loop ever and everybody's pissed off is just disingenuous, right? It's just disingenuous. And that's fine. We can still call things bad. Here's what's bad. The fact that Scopely thinks that we're going to be happy about 4 loops in 4 months. December, January, February, March all have a loop. That's stupid. That's terrible. Why they think that's okay? I don't know. Every content creator has told them that is absolutely stupid. That is dumb. But to sit here and pretend like this is the worst loop ever is just, again, it's disingenuous because it's in a lot of ways everything we've asked for. It has a passive part where if you can't do it, okay, you're still getting the materials. You literally don't have to do anything except click a button every day, and you have now gotten part of your currency that you need every day. How is that bad? There is now, if you do the loop, a free-to-play sourcing for 8 primes with 12 total levels. How is that bad? Now, is it great? I'm definitely not trying to sell y'all something that it's great, but to call it the worst ever is just, again, it's disingenuous. And that doesn't make me a shill. It makes me able to play the game and understand that, hey, if I don't want to do silent today, that's okay, because I'll just go collect my temporal disruptors or whatever they're called, and then I won't do it. And I'll still be able to source something that day. Right? I have no issue with that. I have an issue with how Zindi rolls out. I even have an issue with how Wave Defense rolls out. I think this is a good balance, but what I think is happening, and what I see happening, is you just have so much frustration. It's boiling over to where everybody's getting mad because they're already mad. But this is definitely not the worst. And I promise you, if you reach out, we can find a way to make it work. All right, Nathan says, I'm Moss 53, and my max tier Enterprise is only at 8 million power, and I have a tier 3 Kelvin that's only 9. I can't do any damage to these new hostiles, and Zindi's a 2-hit attack. So I will say this, Nathan, if you're Ops 43 and you have an 8 mil power Enterprise, you are missing a lot of research. Now, that is not meant to shame you, but it is meant to say that you are missing quite a bit. A Ops 43 player should have an Enterprise 10 mil plus if they have their buildings and research where they should be, and I don't even know where your officers are at. I still believe we could probably make a way, but I'm assuming you've tried the Severus crew. The Severus crew will limit this new hostile to 5 rounds. We'll limit them to 5 rounds, but you have to survive those 5 rounds. So for your instance, we would look at survivability. Now, it's not like Burnt Pork says. They have an 8 million Enterprise at Ops 39 that's only tier 7. If you have an 8 million Enterprise at 43, you're missing a lot. But that just means that we need to find a way to catch you up as quickly as possible. Maybe you have not given attention to some buildings. Maybe there's a research tree that you have not given attention to, because as everybody can attest, there's way too much in this game. So you have to really dedicate yourself to what you want to go after. So that's going to be an issue, but we can still probably try to find ways where maybe we can put Tendi. I don't know if you have Hugh. I would hope at 43 you've unlocked Hugh through the Borg Solo Armadas, but if you haven't, we can find ways to get you what you need to at least make it to where you survive and are able to compete and beat those 41s. But regardless, if you can't, while you're catching up, we can still get you collecting the temporal currency in the export store. Go. Any idea why the NX-01 only has an advantage against one of the 3 new units? Well, keep in mind the Silent Hunters are not Zindi. So no Zindi specific buff is going to work against them. And we are still trying to press them to make the NX-01 have a bonus against the reptilian hostiles like they do the aquatic. But the short answer is, if the NX-01 had the bonus against reptilians that it has against aquatics, you could punch up to the strongest reptilian in the game as soon as you get the ship. So basically what we've been asking them to do is to create a specific bonus for the reptilians, because I do agree that ship should have a bonus for reptilian hostiles. Reptilian Zindi. Absolutely should. There's no reason it shouldn't. It's stupid to not. It's stupid to not. Slither Morph says, completely free to play level 42. I finished the SMS in 1 run, did a 2nd run, and finished 3rd in the SLB. Very nice. You finished 3rd in the SLB? It's not over, is it? I thought the SLB was a 2-day SLB. Hold on. I thought it was a 2-day SLB. Oh, it was a 1-day SLB. I finished 11th. Poop. Dang. Oh well. If I would have paid attention to that, I probably would have tried to score higher. Okay. John says this is there is an additional benefit for doing Q trials. They increase each for tier and level for Forbidden Tech. Okay. I mean, true, John. Not necessarily what we were talking about now, but I mean, that's not an incorrect statement. Paulo says, I'm using Janeway, B'Elanna, Lorca with Peristock and Hugh below decks in your pylum. So here's what I would do, Paulo. I would swap out. Well, actually, no, it's fine. You've got Lorca. But I mean, that works fine. I do like having B'Elanna below decks, but I got to remember not everybody has like a tier 3 or a tier 4 B'Elanna. But yeah, it works fine. How many are you killing with that, Paulo? How many are you killing? Hellbot says, bottom line, new content should be fun. And here's where I'm going to have to stop and not read the rest of your message. I'm having fun. Like, the process of working through all these crews the past 24 hours and working through this new hostile has been a lot of fun for me and a lot of my community. I realize that's not the case for everybody, and I can't speak for everybody. But that's been fun, but it's only been fun because I figured out how to make it work for me. If it isn't working for you, probably not fun. But I enjoy that hostiles have become more complicated as long as that complicated equals doable. If complicated equals impossible, it's not fun. But if complicated equals doable, I personally enjoy that challenge, but that's me. I haven't spent any money to course it. I haven't spent any money on this arc. None. In fact, I just finished grinding out my level 50 ship and I didn't spend $1 on a pack for it. I just got to go to level 50 to build it. So what's the optimal crew for a tier 5 North cut against 51 to 53 silence? So Heldar, I'm assuming you have Hugh. You want Hugh, Belana, Torres, Tendi below decks. That is going to give you critical, hull breach, and then you're also going to have a little bit extra hull health. Assuming you have a pretty high Tendi given your level, at least 300% hull health boost. So a little bit more survivability. Up top, there's several crews you can run. Again, depends on the tier of your crews. I'm not sure what tier they are. Hell, your Belana Taurus could be tier 1, which means part of what I just recommended is bad. But up top, Janeway, Doctor, Enterprise E data. So you're getting isolytic, you're getting mitigation, and you're getting a little bit of shield improvement. That's a standard run. Now, with your North Cut being a little bit lower than Scopely clearly expects you, and Hakan, give me 1 second, appreciate you. We might need to do a little bit additional boosting with Cerritos / Titan, and or both. Or we might actually need to activate an Exocomp. Beyond that, that's just me giving you generic advice, seeing no log. I give this invitation to everybody. You're more than welcome to message me privately, shoot me a log so that I can look at it. And that way we can find what's causing your failure, right? And again, I'm not calling you a failure, but how we can make sure it's optimized just for you, because everything in this game, again, Scopely has made this game way too complicated overall. Even as a content creator, it's tough to keep up with everything. You know, there are over 1,000% over total boost in hull health around the game and between attack stats and around the game. We need to see what research you have. If you're lacking any, do you need a specific artifact that maybe you have not unlocked that maybe I have that's giving me an advantage, which I am behind a lot of y'all in artifacts, but I'm ahead of some of y'all in artifacts. And then we could kind of personalize it to you. But generally speaking, on the bridge, you want to get as much damage as possible. Isolate Cascade is how you do that with help from Hugh and Belana Torres below decks. And then you also want to throw in survivability with mitigation and Tendi. That combo works for most, but what you're going to struggle with at a lower tier ship is you don't have enough below deck spots to get every additional bonus. It's kind of like I talked about in yesterday's video. The big key to these new hostiles is below deck. Just as important, if not more important, than what you have on top of the deck. Because you need to really take advantage of all these different below deck officers they've created. If you're limited in slots, you're really going to struggle. For example, I talk about adding mitigation. Who does that below decks? Tom Paris. But if you've only got 2 below deck slots, you're having to really pick. And what a lot of my level 55 players have been doing is using their Talios, because they'll have like a much higher tier Talios that has more officer slots, allowing them to max out the ship bonus and allowing them to use more below deck abilities to give them an advantage. Again, this is just generic advice. Gladly take you one-on-one if you want to shoot me a message. Heck, just since we started this, I've gotten 10 messages. So it'll be a busy day going through those today, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, Jay says Scopely has a much better opinion of my game progress than I do. They have a much more forceful opinion of game progress than I think any of us do, but here we are. Here we are. So, less than 50 likes. I like your average between us kind of falling for me. Wow, Edward. I'm falling for you too. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. And thank you for hitting the like button on the video. We'll be on Twitch tonight. I will. So Lord Prax, in 4.5 hours, we'll actually be playing War Thunder with the community. It's a free-to-play game that doesn't ask you to spend $1,000 a month. And we, it's PC and console game. And then at 7 o'clock, so 6.5 hours from now, we'll be doing Star Trek Fleet Command, which will be more of going through players' builds and trying to set players up in, I don't need that. Set players up for, no! I really should stop trying to multitask. I should really stop trying to multitask, but oh well. Oh, well, y'all can enjoy my pain as I screwed up. So y'all get a good chuckle in. I hope y'all laugh. That's wonderful. I hope y'all enjoyed that moment. And yeah. Talios at tier 11, Max at 54. Yeah, so probably, and again, if you are in my Discord, Heldar, I can show you a Talios. Actually, the one I showed you yesterday was running the grind. And here, let me see if I can pull that photo up in case you did not see yesterday's video. If you did not see yesterday's video, we'll pull that up and you can see this tier 11 Talios doing the same thing. Now, we'll add in, this Talios did go and throw in additional buffs with Cerritos, but he also doesn't have a Belana Torres that's as good as yours. So that's worth noting. So if he had Enterprise E data, he wouldn't need the Cerritos boost as much as he does. Just an FYI. Here's a level 56 player with a tier 11 Talios taking down 55s, and he can do about 5 or 6 a run. You, with having a better Belana Torres than he does, could substitute Gorkon out, put Belana Torres below decks, and as long as the RNG wasn't abysmal, you could run Enterprise E data up top, and you would do, in theory, better than he did, but you could still Cerritos boost it as well. You can still Cerritos boost it as well. So, you can do it. I believe in you, but it is definitely not easy if you're at the awkward stages of leveling. What I mean by awkward stages of leveling is you just hit 40. You just hit 51, right? You just hit 55. Like you're right below where a big ship is about to help you out or change your game. Those are really bad pain points right now, right? Those are bad pain point levels where you're right before the big thing you need that's going to make it easy. And we have passed on feedback to make that easier. I put out a big post. Harley put out a big post. I think Doc put out a post, and Lube also contributed. Stewie did. Lube didn't contribute anything. Shut up, Lube. But we put in our, they asked yesterday specifically for feedback with the loop. And we put in I wish I could show you the channel, but it breaks the NDA. We put in a bunch of bullet points, and the thing that I focused on were players in those in-between areas. Like if you're level 46 or 47, you're probably doing fine because you got your Coronar Pylon Newton. If you are level 52, 51, you're struggle busting because odds are you skipped a level 50 ship. You don't have a 53, obviously, and you're struggling because when it jumps up to 5-star hostile levels, they definitely improve in strength, as you can see by this 55 being a 1 billion power. Or you can't even see its power, my bad. But this is a 1 billion power hostile. I didn't realize I had that cut off. There you go. Just drag this down. There you go. 1 billion power. So clearly these get stronger. And if you're in an awkward stage, what I tried to focus on with the feedback is like, look, we understand what you're trying to do, but you made it too difficult for this section of players. And this needs to get some level of adjustment. That adjustment could be maybe allowing players to have an additional refinery where if you need rares, you can also turn in uncommons, but you're just not going to get much for the uncommons. Because the way it's set up now, you see here, I need rares to complete my run at 49. And since I don't play it fast, everybody asking, Rev, when are you going to go in the 50s? I don't, because I sit there and I do my research, and that's how Rev's account is able to complete it. If you can't, though, maybe an additional option where you can punch down, but you get a lot less in return. Maybe it only gives you temporal disruptors. It doesn't give you any of the other goodies. Something like that has been recommended through various different means. There's actually been several different recommendations to try to make things easier for those who are in the pain point areas. Hey, I got Prime Orbit medallions. Yay, free-to-play sourcing of stuff. Got Prime Orbit medallions. But we'll see how quickly that turns into, any type of feedback. All right. Oh, man. That's the second day I got full pull Great Eye of Ra. Yay. Yay. I want to really get that because need to get this to about tier 5, tier 6. Notice those the bonuses. But I definitely want that. Definitely want that. All right. William says, can we punch up against the Silent Hunters? I'm Ops 41 with Max Dog and Enterprise, no Tucker, but all the Voyager crew and the Enterprise E data. I mean, if you're asking, can you beat them? Yes. A Max Enterprise can take these down. We have several logs and different crews I can show you. I have this handy because we were just talking about lower levels. But here you go. Here's an Enterprise from a level 39 player and the various crews they used. If y'all need this log, I can shoot it to you. If y'all want me to post it in the chat, I'll just go ahead and post it in the chat. If y'all want to go look at these logs for yourself, there you go. But here's a level 39 player with a maxed enterprise giving you varied crew options of how well they did. So you get several different crew options so you can see what works best for you. And I just posted the log in the chat. So you would like to see them separate out the different size silent hostiles? See, personally, I love the design of if you're 46, you have to go hit this hostile. There's no guesswork. But with that design, I do think it should be easier. So